There's nothing worse than chalky gel coat, especially if you have a dark colour. When ours got to about 20 years old and we headed south to the sun, it really started to suffer. People think the woodwork must be hard work on Fair Isle. Well, I can tell you it's nothing compared to the topsides. I tried all the usual things and some more unusual methods. This is G-Technic's ceramic coating.
I'm going to put the top back on every time because it's expensive stuff.
I was finding the polish lasted about 3 months before the chalkiness returned. This nanotechnology coating, put on after cutting back the gel coat, promised to protect it longer.
The grid system, go around again.
I tried it on a high up section as a test in the first year, and it did well. Compare that to the other side that just had polish, and it's all gone bad. So I applied it to the whole boat and hoped it would last forever. Fast forward to our lift now in Portugal though, and it's all suffering again. To be fair, it's not really meant for old gel coat, it's designed for brand new paintwork, and from all accounts does a fantastic job with that. So we had a decision to make with this year's lift in Lagos. A respray. They do have an excellent paint shop here, but that's a very expensive option. More ceramic coating, again expensive for the limited increased time it gives you, or something else. Well, the experts from the Sopramar paint shop came to have a look, and the prognosis was good. Cut back in the right way, they were confident the finish could be kept good without me having to repolish every couple of months. Marlon walked me through the process.
And the first step, the 1,500.
Okay, so this is a special abrasive disc, is it? 3Ms, yeah.
And after, this one make it with water.
Yeah, yeah.
And after 3,000.
3,000, okay.
Yeah.
So this is the first cut with the 1500 disc. Looks good when it's wet, of course.
Yeah, oh yeah, as soon as it's dry, you see, there's more to come off.
It takes a lot of work, but eventually you end up with a uniform matte surface.
A little bit there.
Yeah, it's just on the edges, isn't it? Where you haven't got right into it.
Marlon's doing the edges by hand.
So what's
now,
this one you've got?
3,000.
3,000, okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to look properly shiny until there's polish, is it? But it should look just not dull.
Yeah, it's not dull.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Once the 3000 grit has taken out the 1500 scratches, you get a more satin finish.
Exactly. Okay.
Marlon is a perfectionist.
Gonna do a little bit more.
To do this whole boat, how many of these do I need? That's the question. How many do I buy?
Good cast. I think about five.
Only 5? Okay.
Yeah,
really?
5.
For the whole boat?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, of course.
And the same for the other ones? They last, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That's wow. That's
And
amazing.
the 1500, about 20.
About 20?
20.
More. Okay. Yeah.
He ended up with 3 passes of the 3000 before moving on to the cutting paste.
Polish you're using, is this, so it's a cutting, it's not just polish, it grinds as well, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a cutting paste and a polish.
This one is good.
Having gotten rid of the blooming with the discs, you don't need to spend nearly as much time with the rotary polisher. A couple of passes and there you go.
What a difference.
Yeah.
From that to that.
Yeah. Now.
Thank you. That's quite incredible.
I'll call that a success.
So this is the patch that Marlon did, how it looks now in amongst all the chalky topsides. Bit of a magic touch he's got there, but it took him a long time. It took about half an hour to do that one little patch. So I've been trying to work on this. I've done the whole of this side now. It's taken me a week, about 6 hours a day. but I am gradually refining the process to try and make it a little bit quicker. So I'll take you through some of the things that I'm doing now.
First of all, you do need one of these, a random orbital sander.
Does that. It doesn't just go round and round, it does a sort of figure of 8 and also turns slowly as well. So it doesn't leave any sort of swirl marks. It's really good for fine work and very good for this sort of stuff. So, you know, I've got that. This one also has a setting where it does a sort of coarser setting. You push the button there and twist it by 180 degrees, and then it's going over about 6 mil, it says, rather than about 1.5 mil, so it's sort of just doing a coarser sand. So I do the first pass with that and then the next 2 on the lower one, and instead of just doing the 1200 and then the 3000, I'm starting with 800. So I'm doing 3 passes of 800 and then 3 passes of 1200 and then 3 passes of 1500, and then 2 or 3 passes of the 3000. I mean, basically I'm using more of these than Marlon was saying as well, because they're cheap. They're a couple of euros each for these ones. The other ones, the sponge ones, aren't. They're about sort of 16 euros, so I'm not using so many of them. But basically I'm going through these quite quickly because, I mean, the work is in the effort of doing it and the time and effort of doing it, so I want to be using ones that are cutting well rather than using my time on one that's sort of running out of its cutting. So yeah, it seems to be doing it. I mean, I'm not getting all the way back to completely without any marks at all. I'll start it and I'll show you, but yeah, it's sort of as much as I can do to do all those layers and do it, and then I'm going through with the cutting paste. I'll show you that as well. So let's have a go. Yeah, I've almost finished, but as you go round, obviously you get better techniques. You just get better at it as you go round and find what works and what doesn't. The major thing really is with these the plastic finishing films from 3Ms, if you put too much water on, it just aquaplanes across the top, so you've got to get the water right. I mean, a lot of people use just a sprayer, a really sort of hand spray thing. My gelcoat tends to be quite porous, it dries out quite quick, so I just use this fine spray with the hose. You put that on, and within 30 seconds, a minute, parts are drying out, and you'll see then you get to this sort of stage where you've got dry patches, wet patches, you go across and you feel it grip and you feel it's starting to bring the gel coat down as it should, not aquaplaning across the top and not sort of sticking if it was too dry. So that you just got to get the feel for that really. Second thing I've done is, when I was first doing this, I was doing a section completely at a time. It's much better to let it dry properly. When it's dried properly, you'll see, if I have a look on this bit here, you'll see this section. I'll see how well this shows up. I'll try and show you a couple of different angles, that you'll get some areas that are completely, I mean, they're dull because it's not been polished, but there's nothing in there underneath, whereas this bit here, you can still see there's some blooming underneath there, so that needs a little bit more. So, you know, once it's dry, you can then just work through it and just work on those bits. I usually just do that with the 1500 and the 3000 and just sort of get that down to trying to be in as even as possible. I'm not going to get this perfect because, you know, it's 22-year-old gel coat, so it's never going to be completely perfect. So I find with the 3000 patch, you can sort of get to the stage where you've dried it out and then stop, and then you can see if there's anything there as well. So that might help you get it better as you know, on the first pass as you go through. You can, for these bits where there's sort of corners as well, have an intermediate pad between the two things here. It gives you a bit more sponginess and a bit better on the corners. I'd like to get one of those if I could, but yeah, I've just been using this at the moment. Does a pretty good job. I think that bit's done.
So do be prepared for the time this is going to take. There are refinements, but there are no real shortcuts.
So for the cutting stage, I'm using the 3M's Perfect-It Fast Cut Plus Extreme. It's really quite a confusing array of different polishes and cutting pastes that 3M's have nowadays, but this is the one that Marlon said was really good. I mean, looking at their specs, it's supposed to last longer than the ones that they had before. I've used almost the whole can on one side of this, so I reckon for a normal boat, for a sort of 32-foot boat, it'd do the whole boat if it's in this sort of condition. But yeah, I'm going to have to buy another one of these tomorrow, along with another sponge, because this one's dying. This has lasted the whole side. It's Sunday, so the chandler's is closed today, so I can't get another one. But yeah, you need a decent sponge, fairly hard sponge for the first bit of cutting, and then I'm putting a polish on as well. I actually had this on board already. It's a wax, 3M's wax, so I'm putting that over the top on the grounds that I just want this to last as long as possible. You can just leave it as Marlon did with this, because it's got polish in it as well, but you know, I want to get as much on it as possible. So yeah, I'll go through that stage now.
You shouldn't need too much water. The cream seems to not dry out as quick as some others. I tend to work with it until it dries, and then maybe a mist with water before the next pass. Sometimes with the sponge I give it 3 passes, but then the chandlery came up with a secret weapon.
So I'm now using the wool pad. I mean, wool pads are always better at sort of cutting through quickly. I couldn't find one, but these 3M's ones are really good. They've got a different way of connecting. So you think they wouldn't fit on a normal rotary polisher, but they do. You just need this, the little bayonet fitting, so that screws on, and then you've just got this little bayonet thing. It quick changes between the two. So it's really good. It works really well. And I have to say, I couldn't find it in the chandler. The chandlers here is the best I've ever found any in the world. Friendliest people in there. And they get you anything, so I wanted one of these. They managed to get me one, so yeah, I'm now doing it with the 3M's pads. 3M's do really good stuff. It is expensive. I mean, I think, you know, things like their polishes and all the rest of it, they're really good. I mean, you need a PhD to work out which one you need to use, but you know, once you've done that, they really do the job really well. You just don't need to do things like buy their fibre cloths. I mean, come on, 3M's, by selling microfiber cloths for enormous amounts of money where you can get them in the supermarket for a couple of quid. So yeah, you don't have to do things like that, but this sort of stuff, the professional gear, is doing a good job, I think. So then just give it a wash down, a good wipe, let it dry a little bit, and stick the polish on, or the wax.
You want a soft sponge for the wax. I think 3M's has a colour-coded system of grades of sponges, but these cheap ones I have on board seem to be doing a good enough job. When the sponge starts leaving more polish on there when you press, then just clear it. I just use a stick. You can get a special tool though. This is the satisfying bit. As the gloss comes up, you don't need to get it perfect with the sponge. The microfiber cloth will finish it off. So that's it, topsides looking respectable again. Let's see how long they last. Hope that was helpful. Please do though, do us a favour and just subscribe. It costs you nothing and helps us a lot.